Hi, this is Stuart here from Lawn Mowing 101. I'm doing part 2 of buying an existing lawn mowing business, the pros and cons. Now, this video is going to focus on a couple of questions that you should really be asking. Question number 1 is why are they selling? And question number 2 is what are they selling? Now, when you're buying a lawn mowing business, it's always good to ask why they're selling the business. Now, if they say it's because they want to change the direction, it could mean that the business doesn't run right. There could be something wrong. So don't take their word for the figures that they're giving you. Do a little bit of background checking. They may be covering up a badly run business. So just be careful when that is the reason. Now, if they say that they're moving out of town, this is much better. But still, don't take their work. Do a little bit of research. If you're around at their place, do they look like they're getting ready to shift? Look for telltale signs. If they're selling their house and their business, ask them what they plan to do if the house doesn't sell, because if the house doesn't sell, they may decide to get back into lawn mowing, and then you're going to have competition and you're going to have someone who knows all about your business. If everything's above board and they definitely are moving, then you could get an excellent business this way. It's a good reason for selling a business. Now, if they're retiring after they've been in the business for years and years, well, that may sound like a really good business to buy, but the problem that you have with this kind of business is their prices. Are they running on prices that they quoted years ago? And have they been regularly rising their prices, or are they working on prices that are 10 years old? I think what I would suggest is maybe go out and work a day or two with them and take a mental note of the mow times versus the pricings. The customers you may get much loyal customers than you would normally, but your hourly rate may be down. So, and also if you put your prices up, then they've got two things to deal with. They've got the new lawn mowing guy and they've got the new prices. They may decide to go somewhere else. Now, they may be moving out of the industry because they may have decided they're getting too old to mow lawns. Like me, late 50s, as you find it harder and harder to mow lawns as you get older. This could also be an acceptable reason for selling a business, and you just need to gauge how honest you think they're being with you. If they're selling for health reasons, this is genuine, and this can actually offer a great opportunity for you, because you can normally get a good business at a good price, and you may even find that the seller is willing to work with you, and they may have a huge amount of information that they can share with you when you take over the business, and this can help you hit the ground running. Now, if they're selling the business because they need money, that's usually a bad sign. There's got to be reasons why they need money, and if the reasons aren't, if they haven't got one particular reason, if it's not, something a large life change to them or something like that, then that would be a red flag to me. Now, the one of the things that you should also be asking yourself is, what are they selling? The seller needs to be clear with you on this. You want to know things like what the weekly turnover is, what was turnover for the last 3 years, is it going up or down? How much do they pay themselves? How many hours a week do they work? How many that's in the field, and how many hours a week do they work doing admin? How many customers do they have? What area does the business cover? What equipment is going with the business? How did they arrive at their selling price? Do you get the phone number, or are they going to keep it? Because there'll be incoming leads going to that phone number. So it's better if you can get it. If you're not going to get the number, is there some kind of procedure where they can pass the quotes on to you while they're still coming in? Now, another thing that you'd really like to know is how long have they been in business? basically a good amount of time is 2 or 3 years, because it's, they've been working the business long enough as they're certain not to be badly wrong with it, and also they haven't been working it so long that their prices are out of date. Just make sure that you check the information that they give you and go through it, make sure it looks right. Now, if they bought the business less than 6 months ago, that could be a warning signal, because if they bought it just recently and they want to sell it, there's obviously something wrong with it, or they've been struggling and they've lost business. Now, you could, if the business looks like it's salvageable, you could possibly offer them something like a pay-as-you-mow agreement, where you come in and you salvage as much of the business as you can and then pay them like that. But just bear in mind that they might have bought the business badly. They might be running the business badly. So I would say just go and salvage what you can and then pay them for what you salvage. Now, the other thing that you really want to do is you want to see the books. Now, some lawn mowing businesses don't keep books, so you want to see bank statements. Do they have an accountant? Can they produce their books with the taxable income for last year? Have they got a profit and loss statement for the last financial year? If they haven't got any of this information, you're going to need to see their bank statements. If they have no real books but can produce bank statements, and that's okay. Now, a business with books and with tax returns, etc., is going to be worth more than a business with less of a paper trail. And also, if you're going for financing, then the bank's not going to like a business that hasn't been doing yearly returns. As far as they're concerned, if no books, no loan. So you may be able to get a loan on your mortgage or something like that, but really you want to be able to get a loan from a bank based on the figures that the business is giving you. Now, the other thing to do is look through the bank statements, look through any books that they give you, and is this actually making sense with what they're telling you? If they're telling you one thing and then the books are showing you something else, then you've really got to have a close look at that. And that'll also, if you uncover a few variations there and a few things where there's stretch the truth, then they're possibly doing that in other areas as well. So another thing that you really do want to know is what the existing owners told the business. Now, if the guys, a lot of guys that are selling lawn mowing businesses haven't sold a lot of them, so they don't really know how they should go about this. And so what a lot of them do, what some of them do, is they'll go to each one of their customers and they'll say, "Hey, I'm selling your lawn." Now, if someone came up to me and they were mowing my lawn and they told me they were selling it, if I wasn't in the industry, I'd probably get a bit annoyed, because I think that's my lawn, you can't sell it. And so, but if they've told the customer something like they're finishing up and they're selling their business, that's a little bit better. What I like to do when I sell lawn mowing businesses is I actually advertise the businesses on the quiet, and I make sure that I've got a buyer lined up before I go and tell customers that I'm selling the business, because that way I can say to them, "Hey, the bad news is that I won't be able to mow your lawn anymore, but the good news is that I found somebody who's prepared to do the same job for the same price." And this will reduce fallout, and it'll, if it's done correctly, your loss rate could be as low as 5%. I normally aim for 5% or less. Now, another thing that you want to just be aware of is the seller abrasive by nature? Because if they are, then perhaps the sale's not going to go that well, because you do need to be a little bit diplomatic. You do need to be nice to the customers. Now, one thing that you can try, and that will probably never happen, but it's worth a shot, is saying to the seller, are you prepared to offer a partial refund if anybody cancels in the first cut before you get there? Now, if the chances are that they're going to say no to this, most of them will. I used to offer a warranty, an 8-week warranty with the lawns I sold, but then I was getting so many leads, and that if a lawn dropped off, I'd just replace it with a lead that I'd quoted on and secured the contract. So that wasn't really a problem. But most of them will say no, that they're not prepared to cover it. Now, if the thing that you really want to do is try and gauge by the look on their faces, it might give you an idea of how solid they think the business is. I mean, if they look pained when you ask that, then that may be the question, but it may also be the fact that they think a few of them are going to cancel. Another thing that you would like to know is what's the ratio of slow payers. Have a look at the speed that their guys that they're doing the job and then getting paid for it. Because if a business is set up correctly, then you should have customers paying you basically, well, we try and get them to pay us within 24 hours of the job being done, unless they're running an account, and then we want those paid within 7 days. So you want your customers to pay you promptly, and if a business is well run, then the customers are paying promptly. But if they've got people there that owe for 2 or 3 months back, or the last half dozen cuts, and they're due and they haven't paid, well, then that's something worth looking at. You need to pay attention to that. Another question is, how far apart are the lawns spread? Now, with a place that's got a lot of suburbs, it's quite easy to get what I call suburb drift, which means that you're working in one suburb, you get a lead from in another suburb, you go there, then you get a lead in the next suburb, go there, go there, go there. And before you know it, you're traveling 10, 15 minutes to a job. And if you're driving halfway across town to do a lawn, you're losing money. You want the lawns to be fairly tight. You want them to be basically no more than about 7 minutes apart from each other. So for every 40 minutes of traveling time that you're doing, you want to basically be mowing a lawn. This is just for your average domestic lawn. This isn't for large ride-on work and that. So basically, if you're mowing 12 lawns in a day, you want to spend no more than about 1 hour and 3/4 driving. Now, of course, this figure may vary depending where you're living, how populated the area is, and the kind of lawns you're doing, and all sorts of things. So that is a ballpark figure, but that's a figure that I run on, and it seems to work pretty close. Now, are they offering extras to their customers? Now, this is a good question to ask, because if they're taking rubbish away and they're not charging for it, if they're pruning, knocking branches off trees on the driveway and not charging for that, then the customers come to expect that kind of thing. And if you take over the business and you start charging for these extras, then they're going to start looking for somebody else. Now, it's kind of ironic, because the person that they find will also charge them for it, but the thing is that they never did it for free. The guy that you're buying it off used to do it for free. Now you're taking over and you're not doing it for free. So in the customer's eyes, a new person that's charging them is better than you taking over the business and then charging them. So if they're offering lots of free work, take that into consideration, because you may be losing some of that work. Now, is there any lawns that need to be done on a certain day? Now, normally this isn't too much of a problem, as if you're not working short days, and as long as you have lawns in the area. One of the things you do need to think about is Fridays. A lot of people want their lawns done on Fridays. so they look good for the weekend. And this is fine as long as you're not traveling too far. What I try and do, or what I do actually, is I have I have basically the best suburb in town, and that's where I do most of my Friday work. So because they're the ones who want work done on a Friday. Some of them are weekly, some of them are fortnightly, and so I basically work around in the high-paying, high-income suburbs, and I usually spend my Fridays there. So have a look at what they're doing on their Fridays. It's that may give you an idea. It's give you something to think about. Now, are there any customers with special day and time requests? Now, you do want to be aware of this. Sometimes there's people that work night shift, and they may say that they don't want the lawn mowed before, let's say, midday or 1 o'clock. And the thing is if the lawn's where you're beginning your work day, then that's going to be tricky. And having people with requests like this is basically their death to productivity. So it's trying to fit in a lawn at a certain time is going to cost you a lot more than the lawn is worth. So have a look, see if there's any customers like that, work out how many customers they do have like that, and take that into consideration as well. Now, another question to ask is, do they have any training available? If you've never done this kind of work, then training would be good. An acceptable arrangement that I've done with people before is they work with me for a week before takeover, and I basically work with them like that. Sometimes I'll work with them a week after takeover, and if I'm doing that, then I'll be charging an hourly rate. So that'll be in the agreement. So you could look at doing that. Otherwise, you're just going to have to go it alone. Now, the next thing to ask is what equipment is going with the business. You need a list of equipment. You need the make, model, approximate age, mileage on vehicles, hours on any equipment that's running an hour meter. And once you have this, what you could do is go and have a look on the secondhand market and see if you can find this gear, see if you can find it for sale, and see how much it's worth. Now, if the seller has actually asked a price that's a lot higher than the market value of the equipment that he's selling, then he may be doing the same thing with his lawn mowing business. So it'll give you an idea. And so if his gear's overpriced, his business may be overpriced as well. So just bear that in mind. And another thing that you could do with the gear is have a look at the reviews and see if there's any issues with any of the gear. And if there is a constant issue with one of the pieces of equipment in the reviews, then you could always check out his piece of equipment to make sure it hasn't got that issue. So that's basically all I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to do part 3 soon. And in part 3, I'm going to cover how much you should pay for a lawn mowing business, how finance works for a lawn mowing business, how to do the last of your due diligence, and some steps that you should take immediately after you have taken over a lawn mowing business in order to secure it and make it work really well for you. So thanks for coming along today, and I'll catch up with you in my next video. Bye.